The inciting incident. The dim light of the bar flickered as I stared into my whiskey glass, the amber liquid swirling with memories that felt both distant and painfully close. It was a quiet evening, or at least it had been, until that fateful news broke across every channel, igniting a firestorm of rage and despair. I could still hear the echoes of panic and chaos in my mind. The day humanity was pushed too far. It began with an attack on a civilian transport ship, one filled with families, children laughing, and dreams of a better life among the stars. Those dreams were snuffed out in an instant by the Suiban, those tentacled bastards who thought they could flex their technological superiority over us, mere humans. They believed their advanced ships and weapons made them invincible, but they were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating our resolve. I had seen plenty in my years as a fighter pilot. Battles fought in the depths of space, skirmishes on distant planets, but nothing prepared me for the brutality of that day. Thousands were lost, lives extinguished as if they were nothing more than pawns in some alien game. The images haunted me, parents shielding their children from the onslaught, brave souls trying to save their loved ones only to be met with overwhelming firepower. It was an act of war that demanded retribution. With each sip of whiskey, I felt my anger boil beneath the surface. I slammed my glass down on the bar, causing heads to turn. "You think your fancy tech makes you strong," I muttered under my breath, glaring at the reflection in the mirror behind the bar. "You have no idea what real strength is." That night, as I sat nursing my drink, I made a silent vow, not just to myself, but to everyone who had suffered at the hands of these invaders. We would not go quietly into the night. We would rise as one people and fight back with everything we had. It didn't matter that we were outgunned or outnumbered. What mattered was our spirit and our determination. The bar was filled with hushed conversations about what had happened. Some were still in denial, hoping it was just another skirmish that would blow over like so many before it. But not me. I knew this was different. This was a declaration of war against humanity itself. I recalled how we had been complacent for too long, allowing ourselves to be pushed around by these alien overlords who thought they could dictate our fate from their high-tech thrones. But now they had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. They had taken innocent lives for sport, and for that, they would pay dearly. As I looked around at my fellow patrons, some veterans like me, others civilians caught in this nightmare, I saw anger mirrored in their eyes. We were all thinking the same thing. Enough was enough. It was time to rally together and show those Suiban scum what humanity was capable of when pushed to its limits. The bartender approached me cautiously, sensing my mood. "Another drink?" he asked gently. "Make it two," I replied sharply. "We're going to need it." With each drink poured, I felt more alive, more determined to take action. We needed a plan, a way to strike back against our oppressors before they could do any more damage. I envisioned gathering every able-bodied human willing to fight alongside us, those who had lost loved ones, and those who simply refused to be cowed any longer. I could see it clearly now. We would form a coalition, a united front against our common enemy. We might not have their shiny ships or ultra-tech weapons yet, but we had something far more potent: resolve. And resolve could turn the tide in ways technology never could. As I downed my drinks one after another, my mind raced through possibilities for our counteroffensive strategy. We would need intelligence on their movements and weaknesses. We would need every hacker and soldier willing to join this fight for survival. "Listen up," I called out suddenly, standing up on my stool to address everyone in the bar. "We've all heard what happened today. We've all felt that pain. But we can't let it end here. We need to fight back. Who's with me?" A murmur spread through the crowd as people turned toward me with expressions ranging from disbelief to determination. One by one, hands began to rise, first timidly, then with growing confidence, until nearly everyone in that bar had their hand raised high in defiance against our oppressors. That moment ignited something deep within me, a sense of purpose that surged through my veins like wildfire. Together, We would forge an army from our collective grief and rage. Together, we would show those Subin bastards what it truly meant to wage war against humanity. As I stepped down from my perch, I felt lighter somehow, like a burden had been lifted off my shoulders. And yet heavier too, for now there was responsibility resting upon us all. Rallying humanity. The bar buzzed with a new energy, a palpable sense of purpose igniting the air. As I looked around, I saw the faces of those who had once been mere patrons now transformed into warriors ready to fight for their homes, their families, and their very existence. The memories of the civilian transport massacre still haunted us, but they also fueled our determination. We were no longer just individuals. We were a coalition united by a common cause. The next morning, I gathered everyone who had pledged their allegiance to our fight. We convened in an old warehouse on the outskirts of the city, a fitting location for our first official meeting. The walls were lined with crates and remnants of a bygone era, a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. I stood at the front, my heart pounding with anticipation and fear. This was it, the moment we would begin to turn our grief into action. "Listen up," I shouted, my voice echoing off the concrete walls. "We've all seen what those Subin bastards are capable of. They think they can wipe us out without consequence. But today, we take a stand. We're going to show them that humanity is not to be trifled with." A roar erupted from the crowd, a chorus of voices shouting their agreement. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. I felt the weight of responsibility settle on my shoulders, but I knew we had no choice. We had to fight back. Forming the coalition. We began by organizing ourselves into teams based on skills and expertise. There were pilots like me who could navigate the skies, engineers who could repair and modify our ships, hackers who could infiltrate Subin systems, and strategists who could devise plans that would outsmart our enemies. Each person brought something unique to the table, and together we formed a formidable force. I took charge of the fighter pilots, assembling a group of seasoned veterans and fresh recruits eager to prove themselves. We spent hours in simulations, honing our skills and developing tactics that would allow us to strike quickly and efficiently. The Subin may have had superior technology, but we had something they lacked: adaptability. Meanwhile, our engineers worked tirelessly to retrofit our ships with makeshift weaponry. We scavenged parts from old vessels and repurposed them into makeshift armaments that could hold their own against Subin firepower. The atmosphere was electric as we transformed this forgotten warehouse into a hub of innovation and rebellion. Gathering intelligence. Our hackers were invaluable in gathering intelligence on Subin movements. They infiltrated enemy communications, intercepting messages that revealed their strategies and troop deployments. Each piece of information was like gold. It allowed us to plan our attacks with precision. One evening, as we gathered around a holographic display showing the latest intel, one of our lead hackers, an unassuming genius named Mia, pointed at a cluster of red dots on the screen. "This is where they're amassing forces for their next offensive," she said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. I leaned in closer, studying the map intently. "If we hit them here," I suggested, tracing my finger along a route that led directly to their encampment, "we can catch them off guard before they even realize what's happening." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room as we discussed tactics late into the night. The more we strategized, the more confident I became that we could turn the tide in this war against our alien oppressors. The call to arms. As days turned into weeks, our coalition grew stronger. Word spread throughout nearby colonies about our resistance movement. People began flocking to join us. Soldiers seeking redemption for lost comrades, civilians wanting to protect their families from further harm. Each new face added to our strength and resolve. Finally, after weeks of preparation and training, we received word that it was time to act. The Subin were planning an offensive aimed at one of our key colonies, a target ripe for destruction if left unchecked. We couldn't allow that to happen. This was our chance to strike back. I called everyone together once more in the warehouse, the place where it all began, and addressed them with fervor. This is it, our moment to show those tentacled bastards what humanity is made of. We're going to hit them hard before they can launch their attack. Are you with me? A thunderous cheer erupted from every corner of the warehouse, a sound that resonated deep within me like a battle cry echoing through time itself. The first strike. With adrenaline coursing through my veins, we launched our first offensive mission under cover of darkness. The night sky was filled with ships, our makeshift fleet ready for battle as we soared through space toward the Suvan camp. As we approached enemy territory, I felt a mix of excitement and dread wash over me. This was it. There was no turning back now. We had trained for this moment for weeks. Now it was time to put everything on the line. Pilots, I barked over comms as we entered formation. Stay sharp. Remember your training. We hit hard and fast. No hesitation. The tension crackled in the air as we descended toward the enemy base, hidden among asteroids. A labyrinthine structure surrounded by defenses that had once seemed insurmountable, but now appeared vulnerable under our combined strength. As soon as we breached their perimeter, chaos erupted. Laser fire lit up the darkness as our ships engaged in dogfights with Suban fighters swarming around us like angry hornets defending their nest. I maneuvered my ship through enemy fire with precision honed from years of experience, dipping and weaving between blasts while returning fire at every opportunity. "Watch your six," one pilot shouted over comms as I narrowly avoided an incoming shot aimed at my rear thrusters. "Got it," I replied sharply before executing a roll that sent me spiraling behind an enemy fighter just in time to unleash my own barrage of firepower. The battle raged on around us, explosions lighting up the void as ships collided in fiery displays of destruction. But amidst all this chaos was something else: unity. We fought not just for ourselves, but for every soul lost during those brutal attacks. Each shot fired was fueled by vengeance, a reminder that humanity would not be cowed or extinguished so easily. Asterisk, 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 victory against all odds. After what felt like hours but was likely only minutes, the tide began turning in our favor as enemy ships fell one by one under relentless assault from our coalition forces. Then came that moment, the moment when victory felt tangible. A Suban flagship loomed ahead like a dark cloud against an otherwise starry sky. It was heavily armed but vulnerable now that its escorts had been decimated by coordinated strikes from multiple angles. "Focus fire on that flagship," I ordered through gritted teeth as adrenaline surged within me once more at this chance for retribution. With every ounce of strength left within us, we unleashed everything we had upon it, lasers slicing through its hull until finally, boom, the flagship erupted into flames, a sight so glorious it sent shivers down my spine, even amidst all this carnage around us. Cheers erupted over comms as realization sunk in. We'd done it. We'd struck back against those who sought to annihilate us, and though many lives had been lost along this journey, their sacrifices would never be forgotten nor in vain. As we regrouped after securing victory over this initial assault, I couldn't help but feel hope blossom within me like never before. This war wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about reclaiming what belonged to humanity and proving once and for all that we would never back down again. In that moment, amidst celebrations echoing through space, I knew deep down this was only just beginning. The turning point, the aftermath of our initial victory against the Suban, had ignited a fire within humanity, but it was a fire that needed careful tending. We had tasted blood, and now we were hungry for more. Our coalition was stronger than ever, but the Suban were not the type to back down easily. They were wounded and in rage, and we knew they would retaliate with everything they had. As I settled back into the cockpit of my fighter, the familiar hum of the engines brought a sense of comfort amid the chaos. I could still hear the cheers from our last battle echoing in my ears, but I also felt the weight of what lay ahead. Zeta Prime was just the beginning. We had to keep pushing forward. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The calm before the storm. In the days following our victory, we regrouped and strategized. Our intelligence teams worked tirelessly to gather information on Subin movements and their next targets. The atmosphere was tense. Everyone knew that a counterattack was imminent. We had to be ready. During one meeting, Mia, our lead hacker, presented a series of intercepted communications that hinted at a large-scale operation being planned by the Subin. They're mobilizing forces near the outer rim, she said, her fingers flying over her console as she brought up maps and data streams. If we don't act quickly, they could strike another civilian target. I glanced around at my fellow commanders, each face etched with determination, but also with concern. We need to hit them first, I said firmly. We can't let them dictate the terms of this war any longer. A bold plan. We devised a bold plan to intercept the Subin forces before they could launch their attack. It was risky, perhaps too risky, but we couldn't afford to play it safe anymore. The time for hesitation had passed. Here's what we'll do, I outlined, pointing at the holographic map displaying enemy positions. We'll split our forces into two groups. One will create a diversion while the other strikes at their command center directly. If we can take out their leadership, it'll throw them into disarray. The room buzzed with energy as we discussed tactics and roles. Each pilot would have a specific target. Every engineer would be tasked with ensuring our ships were battle-ready. We were all in this together, and that unity gave us strength. Asterisk, 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 the Battle of Zeta Prime. As we launched into space toward Zeta Prime once more, I felt a mix of excitement and dread wash over me. The vastness of space stretched before us like an uncharted battlefield, filled with unknowns and potential dangers. But we had come too far to turn back now. When we arrived at Zeta Prime, it was eerily quiet compared to our last encounter. The Subin forces were indeed mobilizing, but they had no idea what awaited them. We initiated our diversionary tactics first, small squadrons darting in and out of enemy lines, drawing fire while our main force prepared for the real strike. Stay sharp, I shouted over comms as we engaged in dogfights with Subin fighters. The adrenaline surged through me as I maneuvered my ship through bursts of laser fire, dodging enemy blasts while returning fire with deadly accuracy. The chaos of battle enveloped us. Explosions lit up the darkness like fireworks on New Year's Eve. But amidst all this chaos was something else. Unity. We fought not just for ourselves, but for every soul lost during those brutal attacks. Each shot fired was fueled by vengeance, a reminder that humanity would not be cowed or extinguished so easily. Asterisk, 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 turning the tide. As our diversionary tactics began to take effect, I signaled for our main force to move in on their command center. This was it, the moment we had trained for, the moment that would determine whether humanity could truly stand against its oppressors. We descended upon the command center like a storm, laser fire illuminating our path as we blasted through enemy defenses with renewed vigor. The Subin forces scrambled to respond, but it was too late. We had already breached their perimeter. Push forward. Take out their command. I yelled over comms as we surged through the facility like a wave crashing against rocks. Inside, chaos reigned supreme as Subin soldiers tried desperately to regroup and mount a defense against us, but they were no match for our determination. We fought tooth and nail through every corridor, taking down enemies with precision and ferocity. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I led my team deeper into enemy territory, each step bringing us closer to our goal, to dismantle their leadership and disrupt their operations once and for all. A personal vendetta. As we pressed on toward the command room, I felt an overwhelming urge to confront those who had caused so much pain and suffering. My mind flashed back to faces lost during that initial attack, the innocent lives snuffed out without mercy, and I vowed that this time would be different. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of fighting through waves of Subin soldiers, We reached the command room door, a massive barricade reinforced with advanced technology designed to withstand even the fiercest assaults. "Cover me," I shouted as I prepared to breach the door. With one swift motion, I kicked it open and charged inside, my weapon raised high, only to find myself face to face with a group of Subin commanders huddled around a holographic display. For a brief moment, time seemed to freeze as they turned toward me in shock, eyes wide with disbelief at the sight of an armed human storming into their sanctuary. "Surprise!" I snarled before unleashing a torrent of gunfire that sent them diving for cover. The ensuing firefight was intense. Plasma bolts flew past me as I ducked behind cover, returning fire with calculated precision. But it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about vengeance, a chance to make them pay for everything they'd done. One by one, I took down their commanders until only one remained, a tall figure shrouded in shadows who seemed unfazed by his comrade's demise. "You think you've won," he sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "You're nothing but insects beneath our feet." I felt rage boil within me at his words, this arrogant alien who thought he could belittle us even in defeat, and without hesitation, I stepped forward and fired point-blank into his chest. "Consider this your wake-up call," I spat as he crumpled to the ground, a final act of defiance against those who believed they could crush humanity's spirit.